Thank you very much, James and Gilly. And I think we need to found a new religion here, because I know the Church of Rhaegar is a thing, but man, Kerrigan, she is there to lead people to victory, guys.
Kerrigan on Infernal Shrines. There's a reason why you sometimes see her banned out, and it's this reason. We saw McIntyre the other day. I mean, he played it phenomenally, but we see a follow-up performance here from Domi, and he just completely dominated with Kerrigan once again. This is why it's her best map and why she's so highly prioritized.
I'm just asking myself, who made the Koreans so angry? First we see MVP Black, they take my Insanity down twice on Battlefield of Eternity, one game shorter than the next, and now we see the exact same thing happening with eStar. That is like, that's pretty impressive there.
I don't know if they're angry, they're just kind of doing their thing, to be honest. Like, they're just working. So good. And, you know, you speak about Kerrigan being really strong there. I feel like only if she's played like this well, you know, like so many people will try Kerrigan there and not do as good, but I guess there is a few number of players nowadays that have practiced it so much and can play her so well that she will actually look that scary.
Yeah, and with a little bit of luck, Kerrigan is actually going to play a role in that first replay that Jehao is now going to present to you guys.
Let's talk about how much focus she requires. I mean, let's just run and look at Domi right here in the middle. Instantly, let's roll it back just a few seconds so we can watch the collapse. I mean, you can see right there, but you already see the minute she goes in, now we'll roll it forward. Look at them create a bubble around Kerrigan. They want to body her in. She's going in, doing her thing, but she doesn't have any minions to drop back to. This one is going to go away here in just a second, but Sanctification comes out in the middle. She does pop her heroic, trying to get out of there, trying to get anything, but Sanctification was used. They follow up, but this is not where the action ends. We can continue to run this forward. They're going to go, but on the backside, there's a laser drill. It's doing work. And this is the back and forth. Look, Poison Nova comes out, and everything starts to collapse from here, the back and forth. The fight rages on Zing C. He's being chased down there. Toomey on the backside, but Tiger, look at the palm. Now, pause right now. The palm, they do not trigger this. They do not. And this is pros right here. Hyde instead rolls in. We'll move it forward. He's going to take down Zing C. He's in all kinds of trouble. He's like, hey, listen, I know I'm going out. I'm taking one. Actually, I'm going to take down two. Look at the rest of the team come in. Tiger is in there, and you can see waiting on that palm allowed them to even that up 2-2 and really help score that fight away.
And we credit Kerrigan a lot, but the Tigers played a huge role as well in this entire game. Even that one grenade, you know, on one of the heroes trying to retreat here with the Hearthstone.
Calder was very vocal about it.
Yeah, I mean, that can't happen. I'm sorry, but you can't just like go behind the gate and then say, okay, I'm safe. Like, that doesn't work in any region. That's something that we see happening in Hero League. I have no idea what happened there, but for some, you got to be triggered there. You can't just go behind the gate with you have a Tigers on the opponent's side. It's not even him. That could have been a Storm or anything. You need to safely retreat before you hit that Hearthstone.
You just can't casually alt-tab in a tournament like this for sure. Now, Jehao, there's another replay, so let's do your thing.
Now, they're pushing with a Punisher. This looks cool, but we're going to highlight that X Factor, that MVP. Look at that. Let's roll it back, and I want to roll it back a few frames. I want to talk about this in slow motion because he's going to come in. This is Tomi. He's all the way on the backside. Now we'll roll it forward a little bit. He's going to come in. Look, he's at the very back, but this is the Ravage. It comes in, and the Kerrigan combo is what we talk about. You can see the grass come in. It gets the stun. The cleanse is there. It forces out a Sanctification. But there's a certain person named Hong who's right here. Watch this. This is where it gets fun. The minute this wears off, he dives in. And it's like diving into a swimming pool. Everybody's there. Cannonball, but let's roll it back for a little bit of fun. He's not the only one joining the crowd. Domi coming in as well. Let's just the follow-up there to be able to get the stun in and to get the dwarf toss in. And the follow-up, this was the beginning and end. If that doesn't happen there, they don't end the game right now. And that's a huge moment. We see that Kerrigan, the X Factor, showing off her strength, forcing out the Sanctification, and forcing this fight. Domi gets the Ancestral just in time there. Beautiful play.
A big problem for, I feel, eStar was that they always clumped up a lot. And of course, they have a very melee-heavy lineup. So at some point, you want to make that jump in and really just focus. But in every stage of the fight, it was always like 4 or 5 heroes on one spot, and that is Kerrigan Paradise right there.
Yeah, for sure. You talk about the grasp and then the blades coming out. I mean, I watched it time and time again. Kerrigan was the, I said it before, the X Factor in that whole thing, and this is why she works so well on this map, and I think really performed well.
Right, but it is now time to head to the second battleground, of course. That is going to take place between eStar Gaming and Team Tempest, and it is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen. A battleground that we haven't seen in a very long time, right, Calder?
Yeah, definitely. Like, this is one of the battlegrounds that we have seen here very rarely, and of course, once more, Huge focus here also on the wave clear. Another hero that I want to highlight in the last series who could make a huge impact in this game now as well is, by the way, Tassadar. Duck played an amazing Tassadar where he always was able to just get amazing force balls out there. And this is a map that is known to have very close quarters. This could be one of those deciding moments if you hit a good force ball to isolate the opponent. that was identified and therefore banned out. All right, I like it. All right, they agree.
It's almost a complete change. Kael'thas being banned out every time. Illidan not a first pick moving towards the later parts of the draft. I'm curious if he'll actually enter the second ban phase or if he'll get pulled through here. But eStar, an early Zul pickup and early Tychus pickup. I mean, this is the Asian, Korean, China meta that we've been seeing more and more of.
eStar, they're the ones that like to bring out the Tychus. Oftentimes, last game, that was Tempest that picked it. Same for Rhaegar. Maybe this time they try to prioritize their own heroes that they're really comfortable in before anything else.
No, when we're talking about this map, one of the things that's really important, why we also see Zul here, are the rotations. Normally you position one hero at the bot lane, that's your solo lane. You have rotations between middle and top. And Zul is a huge factor in these rotations, especially for the Chinese meta. It's an important hero. We talked about it in the first game. And on this game, he gains even extra value.
I think one of the cool things that I love seeing about heroes like Murden and ETC, it allows them, they have a little bit of mobility. So if one person is left at the bottom and two teams are trying to rotate between the top and middle lane, it's something we see quite a bit of, is that Murden can easily step out and disrupt the rotations equally as much, so can ETC, and he can also help get early picks. And so look for those two, if that is the rotation that we are going to see, look for them to disrupt it pretty heavily.
Something cool about this map in particular is as well, of course, that Illidan is not necessarily a top priority due to the size and the distance between the lanes, right, Kaldor?
Illidan thrives on space. The more space he has, the more dangerous he becomes. And in this map in particular, you have the two forts very close to each other. But we have seen teams pick Illidan and just try to gain value from him later on in the game when the forts are destroyed, because all of a sudden the distance to safety from the opponent is much, much bigger. Then you can get value out of him.
I'm so happy that Zul is pretty much heavily prioritized right now, because we've seen the dives coming in from Greymane, stuff like that. And Zul, I think, does so much to help deter a lot of that dive composition that we've been seeing so much. I think Zul being picked up early is a great pick.
Look at the win rate. 56% on Illidan. This is not what we're used to.
Not as convincing at all.
You can really tell that these teams have prepared. When Illidan is picked,
oh, no pun intended, eh?
When these teams are able to pick Illidan, the opponent has a draft prepared for it.
Do you guys think we could see, against some heroes like Kerrigan, maybe Tyrande here come out, try and get some good luck done?
Can I point out what's the craziest thing? I haven't seen Li Ming in I don't know how long. Like,
very good point.
Well, then again, we had a lot of Infernal Shrines. Li Ming is one of the heroes that is prioritized a little bit lower on Infernal Shrines compared to other maps. We have now, in this case, Tomb of the Spider Queen. You can get poke value with her here, but it's also one of those heroes that we don't see too often compared to maybe like a Greymane or a False.
I think Jehel raises a very valid question, though, because Li Ming is considered to be a very mechanics-heavy hero, right? And Asian blood usually guarantees for you to have that, fast fingers and fast reactions to play a hero like Li Ming very efficiently. But it's really cool to see that the difference in prioritization compared to EU and especially NA is so different.
One thing that's really cool about that Tyrande ban is that one thing that we've seen is ETC into a Tyrande Lunar Flare, but at the same time, you also have Zul. That's 3 major stuns, and they take Tyrande off the board, but that does lead it into Thrall.
Shadowstalk is insane as well. In these situations, but Thrall and Rhaegar here get picked up by eStar Gaming, and I think I like it.
Tyrande has nice value in the sense also that she can interrupt channels on the objective, of course. Look at the lineup that we see for eStar. Thrall bot lane, you have this ETC with the Priest-Stun, the Bone Prison 2, Rhaegar, additional lockdown if you want it, and they have their last pick to stay a bit more flexible here, whereas Tempest is now heading into that Kharazim, and we have seen scary Kharazim play out of Korea.
Oh, yeah. But I think that what we saw last game was the knowledge of teams at this level to not proc a Divine Palm if it leads into something like a 7-sided strike potentially. But the back and forth there.
To be honest, I didn't really mind that the Divine Palm wasn't proc, because the purpose of the Divine Palm in that fight that you highlighted was to save Kharazim. Because he had Divine Palm on him, he gained valuable seconds that brought his cooldown for the heals back up, and he actually survived and was able to help his teammates out too. Ideally, you still want to proc it, but still they got value out of the ult.
Tychus, the return of Tychus. He is looking at Murden and Shen saying, come here, boys, let me see what I can do. That is an interesting pickup, that Shen last pick.
eStar are known for their Tychus picks. Now, they were only missing one range damage dealer, but yet Tempest picked another warrior, and one of the biggest ones here at the front. That's a little bit surprising, no?
I mean, consider how the draft actually started. They wanted to have Tychus from the get-go. They were looking at the draft and they were hovering over him, and then said, maybe we don't have to pick him right now. We can prioritize ETC. And they still got the Tychus. For them, this is absolutely amazing. And they're up against the Muradin, they're up against the Chen. There's a lot of value.
However, Chen did a lot of work in the previous best of 5 against My Insanity. Chen is one of those warriors that has a lot of mobility and can disrupt the formation and cause a lot of confusion in a team fight. I think that's exactly what Team Tempest were looking for.
I think creating disruption is the #1 thing that Chen does because he's able to get in. He makes body blocks happen. He uses his flying kick. If it's barrel roll, I mean, we're not 100% sure on that. But there's so many factors that he does. It's like a tool, right? I mean, he utilizes it well, and I think that's
a very important point to be
Excuse me,
raised.
Calder, but we have to go to the prediction here because teams are getting ready. So, Jayhao, why don't you show us who you think is going to win?
I'm still on the Tempest hype train. I think they're going to take game #2.
All right, Calder.
Tempest is the better team. I hope that eStar is going to take it and ties it up.
All right, and Todd.
I'm quite liking the draft for eStar. That Tychus, I think he could do some seriously good damage here, so I'm going to stay with eStar.
And last but not least, I have to say that I put a lot of faith into that Chen. I really like that Team Tempest chose that here in particular, and I think they have what it takes to take game #2 as well. However, Gillyweed and Kalars, they're getting anxious, and they want to get that casting going, so we better not keep them waiting.
I'm always anxious, Kendrick. I'm always on the edge, for sure. And
Don't keep us waiting.
Exactly. Especially when we get a Chen pick once again. I love it as well. I love seeing the Panda come out as barrel roll, and Wandering Keg even here should be able to get a lot of value against heroes that don't really have much escape. So let's get into it. Game #2 as we have Tempest to the left-hand side with Dami on Greymane. Lockdown on Falstad. Duk will be playing Chen. Honkono will be on Muradin. And Hyde finally on Karazin.
And on the red side, we have eStar with Rhaegar played by Tiger, Zhao Ti on ETC, Tychus played by Xingxi, Zul played by Tumi, and Naicha playing Thrall.
All right, let's get into this Tomb of the Spider Queen. I had the same questions as well, really, as Jayhao on the desk. I was looking back before this draft to see when Li Ming was last picked. It's one of her better maps here, and I did like the Tyrande ban as well because she does have control over the turning points quite more avidly than a lot of the picks that we're currently seeing picked up at the moment.
Yeah, when you look at damage dealers, there's a lot more emphasis on Kael'thas, obviously,
Yeah.
Falstad, Greymane, too. And then for these teams specifically, it's Tychus.
Yep. I also love that nobody's banning out Illidan in the first rotation. I think that these teams are quality enough to know that they could counter it or have something prepared for it. Although Duk, oh my god, first blood going down already. That totem alone was able to slow him down quite nicely in that little avenue.
And importantly, eStar has the ETC, and we've seen both of the Chinese teams make so many good plays with ETC. And specifically for this, they have once again swapped roles just a little bit. So that's why we're seeing the normal warrior player Naicha playing Thrall, and Zhao Ti will be the one trying to barrel in, go in with the power slide, maybe make those epic mosh pits happen later on.
And I love what you bring up about ETC. For me, personally, he's my preferred warrior on this map than even a Muradin. Power slides to come out of the vents and get the rotations going on this map early on are so powerful on ETC. I would say even more so than Muradin.
Speaking of rotations, they've actually putting Tumi in the top lane by himself and moving it between mid and bot with the rest of the team. Looking for maybe to be able to get some lockdown with the ETC as well as Thrall to follow up with the Feral Spirit. But usually when you're rotating back and forth, you like to have Zul with that. And Tumi, he's having a tough time versus all the members of Tempest up here.
Yeah, rotations are so easy on this map. So whilst ETC is good at it, also Tempest, just in general, are pretty good at it as well as Duk
That
looking for an
bait.
opportunity. Yeah.
Like, hey guys, don't worry about me. Like, nobody else is here.
Exactly,
It's fine. You can attack me.
But all of these little vents that ETC is hidden in. Zhao Ti, he knows a thing or two about roaming and clearing up some of these camps and just chilling out and waiting for the golden opportunity here for eStar to time it out and kill.
eStar playing some mind games. They've swapped up their rotations, and now they've left Rhaegar in the bottom to soak and are now rotating with Zul. And once again, Tumi is trying to go for the bait. There it is as the rest of eStar comes in.
That was a fantastic bait there. Duk might pay for it with his blood, but at the same time, Tumi has to get away, and Chen will go down there. They're trying to get on towards Zhao Ti, but Rhaegar comes along for the save on towards him, but Zul ends up falling 1-for-1 at the moment. Hyde dashes away. Great Radiant dash from him.
Xingxi's trying to put on that Tychus damage. Will take a little bit to power up. He has gotten the bigger they are, but again, once we start to see them getting into more of those overkill talents at 13 and 16, we are going to see him be able to just burn targets down super fast.
You can see the reaction times coming out though, right, from Tempest. I mean, that was as you stated, that was a brilliant little bait that they had, the bait and switch overall, but still Tempest able to react. It's you're not going to see these kind of reactions at the lower stages of this tournament. This is where it's really coming out, the cream of the crop.
Yeah, they made sure that they traded out 1-for-1, which is nice considering they definitely got jumped on hardcore. But again, eStar are the ones who are controlling the rotations, and that means by default you control the turn-in points, which is why we see them having more of their gems turned in. And oh, there's a power slide. Honkono jumps away, but not in the right time to be able to get out of that bone prison.
Oh, I think he's out. Actually, no, Xingxi should kill him.
Yeah, there's a grenade.
Yeah, he should be fine, but that is a pause for the moment.
I literally just paused in the position I was and everything.
I think we both did, actually.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at you, but I did the same thing. Like, what? All right, so we'll find out what's going on in a moment. Our admins are on hand, and we'll be heading over to the teams to figure out what is going down. But once again, an aggressive start. Surprise, surprise here. From the last game now to this game, as both teams looking for those rotations. And it's nice to get Tomb of the Spider Queen out as one of the earlier maps in this series.
Not quite as many kills as the aggression from the early game last time, but yeah, they've been able to find, both teams are trying to find some of those picks, go back and forth, hopefully slow down the gem rotation too, especially if they can kill somebody off who has holding a few of them. But we see that both of them have been trying to turn in as they move back and forth between those points, and that's such a nice thing to be able to do when you know that your opponents are rotating and also trying to find picks.
Yeah, and just looking through Chen's build here, normally, well, sometimes even you see a different build to what's currently going on, but it's going to be Ground Ember at level 1, which reduces his damage whilst drinking, and Swift Reflexes at level 4 as well. So he's got the opportunity to dodge attacks as well during all of this. He's going up against a pretty heavy auto-attack composition, I would say, so it's good choices here for him.
Tychus attacks pretty fast.
Yes, that is true. So that will be shredding through the idea of that quite quickly.
Right, but it is every 4 seconds, so it's a little faster. Yeah. It's like an upgraded.
I think it's more for the idea of hopefully Thrall's hitting me more so than the Tychus. But he's a Chen.
Hope-based play.
But he's a Chen, so probably the Tychus is going to be hitting him, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
All right, so clearly our players just have a little bit of an issue. Hope we get some updates soon as well, and then we can relay those to you as quickly as possible once we know what the pause is down to as well, as we do like to keep you informed here throughout the game. But so far, I'll be honest, from the game number 1, Gilly, I know you're a big eStar fan, but it's not looking too promising just yet, but there's a full best of 5 to go. Do you still have high hopes here for eStar?
Yeah, I definitely have high hopes for them. Yes, it was 1 game that they're down, but this is a team that has been together for a long time, and I'm hoping that with that comes composure upon losing, which is just always so important. But this team has been, I don't know, this team has been the top of China for so long that when you do that, sometimes you see teams not know what to do when they lose, which is maybe what happened to MVP Black a little bit too when they lost that series to Tempest.
Yeah, potentially. Looks like both teams are ready here. We're just getting confirmation in the chat as well. So thank you very much for your patience, guys. But I would love to see it go all the way to 5 games. This was the harder one for myself and Dread, for example, to actually predict. Both of us said 3-2, but the opposite ways. So I was on the Tempest bandwagon, and he was on the eStar one on your side of the camp. So it looks like our game has indeed resumed. So let's get back into Tomb of the Spider Queen here to continue on the festivities.
Both teams, again, have been rotating between the lanes, trying to pick up gems, trying to get kills, and trying to get to level 7. But eStar is well on their way to their first Web Weaver phase. They nearly have enough. It's just a matter of course, getting them turned in.
And we apparently may still have the issue that has continued to be prolonged here. So once again, a pause coming out from Tempest this time. I think it may have come out from Tempest the previous time as well. So it looks like their issue that they wanted to resolve has not been sorted just yet.
Looking at some of the talent builds that we have, and one interesting one that pops up to me for Rhaegar is Healing Ward. We've seen, or I guess Healing Totem in his case.
Yeah.
And it's that a lot of times when you see Wolf Run, you're going into the Feral Heart as well, trying to make sure that you can regenerate your mana and health a little bit faster. But in this instance, speaking of Healing Ward, what do you think of that? Make of that? Do you think it's because they think they're going to be fighting on those turn-in points quite a lot?
Yeah, there's the potential of that. And also, it's a little bit difficult, I would say, for with the front line that exists for Tempest. If they put a healing ward down just beyond a little bit of the architecture around a turning point, it's not easy for them to actually kill that off, and it's still doing healing in that area where Tempest is trying to prolong the fight a little bit, trying to camp out and kind of keep themselves composed. So we did have a player disconnect during all of that, and looks like we are ready to jump back in. It was Mr. Honkono, so he is back, Gilly.
Well, now eStar is starting to turn in those gems. They are getting very close, and there it is. The red web weavers will start to descend.
Red web.
Yeah, it's tough,
That
man.
one is tough. That one is tough. Can't say that 3 times really, really fast. Although I probably believe that some people can, but not us. As for now, we do have eStar here with those web weavers. Going to be pushing on towards the front, and Honkono just looking for an opportunity to maybe get a pick on the rotation from bottom to mid, as the entirety of eStar now barrels up into the midpoint and looks to put on some pressure.
And with these early web weavers, of course, you're not necessarily going to get a ton done. You're not looking at forts potentially, but what you can do is try to get as many towers in front of the forts as possible. You open up lanes for later pushes, and you maybe try to get to 10 ahead of your opponents off of the experience you get from those. Do that, and then you're able to get a second turn-in phase in a row, and your opponents won't, and that's where you really start to do a lot of damage. But because their rotations have been so solid, they already had these towers drained of ammo, the gate was down, and they are going to get a fort off of this, and this is a great play by eStar.
Sliding on in there towards Lockdown. He almost gets him, but Hyde is going to be the one that's going to be sacrificed. Oh, hey, but no! Just barely dies off at the very end. It was a great Radiant dash to try and get away, but it wasn't successful.
I hate that feeling when you're like, I did it, I'm away, guys. Oh, sorry.
Just for you, Reddit. We did it, Reddit? No, we didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well. So eStar's going to move on down towards the bottom, and that's getting them a level lead. As you said, normally it's just towers, but getting that fort, fantastic stuff.
Yeah, maybe unless you have Sylvanas, which we don't have here, but because they had been so strong, Zul, his rotations are just ridiculous to have to deal with, but this is how they're going to try to do it. Catching Toomey out of position, Duck jumping over for the body blocks, following up with a Stormbolt for the stuns, but here comes the members of eStar, and they didn't get the kill in time, and they pushed Tempest back.
They were worried there, very, very worried indeed, because normally you would see the teams actually go on for that kill, but the rotation was sniffed out very quickly there by Tempest, just to make sure they would back off. Singsy, as well as Shouty, now moving forward. Not looking for the power slide though, is Shouty. No, I mean, those towers are drained of shots, so maybe they could have made a play there, but just playing it a little bit safe themselves as well.
eStar are babysitting the turn-in points.
Yes.
You see they push Dami back, and that's because they nearly have heroic abilities. With that full level lead, they're just sitting. They're waiting until they can get their heroic abilities, and they know that they have this great window of time where if Tempest pushes out at all, trying to turn in some gems, they can jump on them with their heroics.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it's the perfect map to do it as well, with the amount of space between the lanes and the objective. So little. And oh, they're just a little bit too late there, eStar, hoping for someone to rotate down towards the bottom against that, but everyone moves towards mid, being safe.
Yeah, when you get your heroics ahead of your opponents, it's like, what are they going for? Let's steal it from them. And they just weren't quite in time to get the bruisers. So that's a good win for Tempest, and hopefully going to buy them some time to get their own heroic abilities as eStar have to clear these out. I
wonder if they end up going Commandeer Odin here. They're delaying it for a little bit. Normally you don't really see eStar going down that path, but no, it will be Dragon Laser Drill anyway. They could have made the case of it's a similar situation to how we saw the Punisher coupled up with Commandeer Odin, where you would eventually push with it and get good value off it, but they're going to go the more conservative route for zoning out, as well as some potential guaranteed damage.
Yeah, it's amazed me that we've started to see Odin creeping in. It's been so long, but again, it's been so long since we've really had Tychus in the meta.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. He's come in with full force when it comes to China and Korea, and loving it indeed. So on the other side, of course, we have the usual suspects down the line. Wondering if Hyde may end up going 7-sided if they feel confident in their combat capabilities.
Yeah, they have two very beefy warriors, so it's less of a concern. But of course, the big deal is Greymane, and Greymane took Wizen Duelist, so he wants to be stacking, which means I think they'll probably still go Palm.
This Wandering Keg isn't really doing too much at all. I think it was popped a little bit early there by Duck. Doesn't quite get the zone out potential that they require on towards Shouty. And they will back off for the moment, knowing that that is down.
There's the Sundering. I was wondering if Nitro was going for it, and Zhao T very fast to follow up means Dami will get taken out.
Heidi actually picked up some of those gems very, very swiftly there. On Chen on the right-hand side is also taking a lot of damage. 7-sided strike already came in to do some damage likewise, so they kill off ETC at the front, and Chen gets away, so 1-for-1 at the moment. But the Web Weavers are on the route here, Gilly.
They have, and eStar's clearing out mid, so they, along with Zul's skeletons, can try to push in, and if nothing else, drain some of the ammo from the towers if possible. Meanwhile, they're going to rotate somewhere else and try to get experience off of that. They know that they are in the lead to getting 13 talents.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it's really looking quite good here for eStar at the moment. Aside from that ETC mishap there, who got turned into Stake, and we will see eStar getting themselves another 4. So this is quite a substantial lead.
There's nobody pushing up in the top lane. Instead of people starting to funnel down here to the bottom, they have everybody here as there comes Toomey and ETC, and they may be trying to trap somebody in the defense of this. As you see, they are doing the old Chinese bush meta. A quick Radiant Dash, though.
Yeah, Lockdown is in quite a precarious spot here, actually. He's going to be gusting 3 or 4 of them forwards, even, I should say. This is the opportunity for Tempest now to take the fight. eStar trying to get themselves that mosh pit. They do get quite a few in that as well, but Thrall is going to go down on the backside from Honkono, chasing him down. Tempest on the run, though, with that mosh pit. It was a fantastic move. 7-sided strike comes in there from Karazim, not really doing as much as it needed to be, because Muradin on the other side is now being chased down, and eStar have taken a 3-for-1 trade.
That was a brilliant mosh pit, and although they took down Thrall, who was low because Ancestral was not quite there, they still were able to just put a lot of damage down and get those 3 kills for 1. And that means that eStar can continue this assault now, especially with those 13 talents. They want to keep this experience lead up so that eventually just make it so impossible for Tempest to ever even try to get a turn. And look how many gems they're holding. They have yet to get a single Web Weaver phase.
Not good for them at the moment. eStar really bringing the fight to them and doing it so well. I still hold strong that watching Shouty throughout this tournament on his ETC, it's just a fearsome beast. Every single mosh pit landing is like 3, 4 members, whatever you want. Shouty, he's been in esports for a long, long time, and you can tell he has the composure of a king.
Yeah, and the decision-making specifically for mosh pit has to be just so quick. You have to know, can I hit the people who can interrupt this? Because there are a fair amount of interrupts. Or no, this is down. Thundering's down too, though, as is Mighty Gust. It's too late, though, for Muradin.
They've got to back off. They're going to dominate this fight if they don't run away. That was perfect by eStar.
They were trying to be out and getting 13, and just in time, eStar takes someone down to make sure that even though Tempest gets 13, it's a little while up before they are a full force of 5. eStar, though, it's getting harder and harder for them to stop these turn-ins because they need 60 gems to turn in, and of course they've been just throwing them at the Web Weavers as fast as they can. Yeah, and the more time, the more eStar pushes their advantage and kills off structures, the more spread out the waves are across the lanes, because they've got so much more room where they can actually traverse instead of running into structures. So you're right, it's not as easy for eStar moving on down the line as they kill off more. It's a bit counterintuitive, but that's how it is. Right, the lanes, it's good to push lanes, but it of course makes it easier for your opponents to get the gems and to get experience back. Yep. eStar starting to get toward the 16 talents, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to delay this. They're going to try to go in for a fight potentially here. They have all their heroic abilities except Thunderings. They don't have that for another 15 seconds. Quarterback making good use here from Tychus, young Jinxie, as he just throws in that grenade and delays for quite a while. Quite the range on that. And Lockdown now. I'm looking at him to really make the plays, because he almost kind of has to save Gust for mosh pits. But in that previous fight, he'd used it way before the mosh pit to try and kind of catch them off guard and just get blow-up kills on them. They are doing this. They have delayed it very well. They only need 10 more. They hold 8. They just wait a little bit longer. They can't lose anybody, though, and this is a precarious spot. This is the place where Tempest, of course, wants to fight. And eStar has great positions to retreat back to. They still have all their forts, whereas Tempest right now, they're in the middle of no man's land, and they're going to try and go in for this. Wandering Keg's already been used here, pushing away Stinksy, trying to get Shouty and isolated for there just a moment, but once again, the Keg isn't doing much here for Tempest. The cleanse was perfect to allow Shinxie to get away. Duck very far forward, uses Poison Nova. Watch for Shouty. He's looking for a mosh. He hits nothing! That's a whiff! He's just trying to get
already as the Gust came out before here from Falstad and didn't get a damn thing, but Duck still quite low there. That's the seven-sided strike. Hyde needs to dash away, and indeed he will. They're going to try and chase him down, but I don't think they'll get much.
That was a seven-sided strike, like, oh crap, I need a seven-sided strike to survive at this moment. But you look at survival, eStar made it through that jump on from Tempest. Now they're 16, they have enough gems, and they get yet another turn-in phase. This is being played so well by eStar.
Yeah, you're right. And 16 comes along. Armor-piercing rounds for Tychus, which isn't the most common of talents to take. Normally, we have that grenade talent taken, so you get the percentage damage on towards, especially warriors, but this is a little deviation from Zingzi.
We've been starting to see this build pop up more and more in this tournament, and it's when generally you see the bigger they are at level 4, and then they follow it up with range at 25% for spray and pray at 13, and then armor-piercing rounds, and it's just this single target burn with overkill, trying to maximize the damage from it.
And it'll do a lot. They're going for the rotations again. Shouty, whoa, already the full stat. Oh my God, Brawl! All in all, that coupled up really well there for Tempest, but I was a little bit apprehensive about how it would go. They proved me wrong. Duck is away with shields as well. Very, very close to dying off. Honkono in the thick of things, Gilly, still fighting on.
That combo happened so fast.
Yes.
And that is great because it's only 4 members to be able to attack with these web weavers, but they're still making it work. They have a big poison nova. It hits a lot of members of Tempest who have to back off, and eStar are going for a keep.
And get the well, get anything at this point. It's not too bad at all. Tempest will regroup in a moment. That's why we're seeing eStar now fall back. Don't want to give up anything. They've got a great lead still, 2 levels worth. All their forts still alive. They tickled away at that keep down towards the bottom, but they don't need to secure it just yet.
Right. Again, though, Tempest are about to get on the same talent here. We'll see if they think they want to get bruisers.
The law. They've thrown out the fishing hook, my friends.
Nobody's on the map.
Here, but
yeah. They can see that nobody's on the map. They have to know. Okay, they're hiding at this. Let's be careful.
Yeah. It was a bit ambitious. It could have worked, but for now, not to be the case. So once again, pressure point coming in at level 16 for our Chen. So now when if they're able to isolate a target, they will be isolated for a little bit longer than is the norm. But eStar, invasion time, tries to power slide onto Dami. Does get in for a moment. A lot of damage already done to him. Keg going to be used, but he's taking a lot of damage whilst he's using that Keg, and he's going to end up going down. There's so many gems. They're not going to be able to zone them out, or eStar. Dami picks them up and runs away, but that's the thing you've got to be careful as Chen as. When you are wandering kegging, you have got to be so careful about your positioning. You take a lot of damage, and you have no protection during it.
You're unstoppable, but not invulnerable.
Right.
And Xingzi just turned on the overkill, wrecked Chen, and now 20 seconds without him. But Honkono at least finally turned in some of the gems. They were like at 175.
Yeah.
Not even in the bank. That's terrifying to try to get into a fight with.
Honkono will have to retreat from here. Do you know how I know that very, very well? Because the amount of times it's happened to me when I'll wander and keg through the whole team. It'll just place them all. And then I die. I'm like, oh, damn, that's not good.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
No.
Jumped in the middle of their team as a barrel.
Got to be so careful. And Hyde at the front, not being too careful there. With Honkono now following up. It's 5v5 once again. Chen is back in the thick of things, but they just wanted to slow down those web weavers. I don't think these web weavers will even get too much done here as long as eStar plays the cards right.
They have full towers in front of the forts.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be. But, of course, they do get stronger as we get in the level further into the game. So we'll see. I think a lot of it depends, of course, on whether Tempest can find some kills, and then maybe they can do more with these. But until then,
looking for that wandering keg there, trying to push away Rehgar, but once again, the kegs have not been fantastic here from Duck all game long. They haven't really been able to isolate. eStar's reacted well to them, and they'll just back off, trying to avoid this fight while they bring down the web weaver slowly.
If they can at least keep eStar here for a long time, that's time that the bottom web weaver is pushing in. There's an Ancestral Healing as well as seven-sided strike, and Greymane goes down though. Tempest way far forward, fighting underneath a fort. Honkono.
Yeah, I mean, with Greymane having gone down there, he dropped so many gems. I didn't even realize how many he had during all of that. And he went in so thick, so far. And now losing him alone. They picked up some of those gems, but I don't think it's going to be enough, really. They're going to lose Honkono as well. That's a 2-for-0 trade. And they're approaching level 20 here. They could go to boss if they wanted, but they're going to play it patiently. Look how many gems they dropped towards the bottom.
65.
Oh, so
65
bad.
gems. They were holding a ton before that, but they got eager. They got over eager to try to make a fight happen, and they paid for it, literally.
Yes, they did. Those Spider butts getting dropped. Not exactly the best thing here for Tempest. So now, Tempest here, going to have to try and deny a turn-in with 3 versus 5. Not the easiest thing to do. eStar easily going to get that gone. And that should be precisely the amount of gems required for Red Web Weavers to descend.
And importantly, eStar are just about to get their Storm Talons, which means this defense from Tempest has to be top-notch to not lose too much here.
You're right. They could finish on this, right? Especially with this easy camp as well. That bottom lane is going to be pressured highly, especially since that's the one keep that they were focusing most of their attention on throughout the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wondered if maybe they were just going to push with that, but they want to draw the members of Tempest away, which is why we're seeing them go top. Wherever they get a keep, right?
Yeah.
If they get a keep bottom, that opens up a lane. But if they get a keep top because of that, then they, of course, can win off of a boss much, much easier.
And now one of the biggest damage dealers in the game with 70,000 hero damage, Zingsty on the Tychus, is got Bob and Weave at level 20. So he's going to be able to dash, 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 and make sure that he is very, very safe going into this fight. Mao pushing on towards the front here. Shouty goes in pretty far. This keeper's going to fall. This Web Weaver with this is very powerful with the easy camp still intact behind it. eStar looking to clean up all of these waves and looking to really put on the pressure.
Yeah, they want to go for the core right here, right now. And if they find some kills here, that's only going to hasten it. Mighty Gust pushes the members of eStar back, but they're shielded, they're healthy, they're ready to take down this game.
Dug trying to Wandering Keg away from all of this, but it's not going to be enough out. All this huge amounts of damage coming down from eStar here. That core is rapidly falling. The drill alone could probably finish it off at this point as a mosh pit comes down, isolating another. 10 does fall, and Tempest lose 4 members here to eStar as they march on to victory. They will tie up this series 1-1, and they will say that this is a fight to Korea as China marches forward here in this best of 5.
Oh, Caleris, we have a series tied up 1-1. And I am thinking that with that win, eStar have found some momentum in this too.
Oh yes, very, very much so. I mean, it was an interesting draft coming out from Tempest, to say the least, but you saw how eStar were able to execute. They were even teasing the idea of that Tychus way early on. They didn't even need to by the looks of things. They take it so late in the draft, and it does massive damage. Zingsty on this Tychus is a fearsome opponent, Gilly.
Speaking of massive amounts of damage, 81,000. The next one was 46, and that's full stat for lockdown. So yeah, that's a ton. That's so much damage.
Yes, it is. All right, we're going to head over to the panel once again as we are 1-1 in this series. Let's see what the boys have to say about this one.
All right.